Check 1 2, check 1 2. What's happening, wonderful people of Instagram and the internet? And if you're joining us on Zoom, shout out to everyone locked on. We have got UF official on the Instagram. We have got Soapbox on the Instagram. Shout out to Henry Walker. I see you, bro. Long time, man. I'll be missing you. I've been looking forward to getting some sessions in. I see your request to join in the video. Unfortunately, I can't let you do that because it's not my account. And I'm literally just taking it over for an hour to drop this DJ seminar. But big up to everyone that's out there. So big up to Extravagant Ray, is that? I don't know, I can't see it properly. But yeah, big up to Anna Doom. Big up to Alex, who's holding it down with the Soapbox live events. In fact, big up to the whole Soapbox team. Big up to the whole UF team. Who we got over here? I can't even read your name. It looks like Connor. Shout out to Connor. Big up to Tash. Yeah, look. Before we get into it, this is week 6 of what has been a session, a 6-week course of sessions, seminars. Me trying to help you guys learn to be better DJs. You know what I'm saying? And the whole thing was born out of the need of necessity. You know, and that's that's very much the hip hop mentality. Like, you take what you've got and you make something work with it. You know, and given the situation with the world right now, we're still under the cosh with this pandemic. I know the government are talking about easing restrictions and things like that. I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like it's safe to do that yet. And I know there are a lot of checks and measures that we need to go through before we can actually open up the Soapbox Centre again. And I know plenty of you guys out there are missing it. I'm missing it. It's one of my favourite places in the world to work. And I can't wait to get the doors back open again and get all of you guys back inside. But in the meantime, we're doing our best, and we've put together a full schedule of online workshops, courses, seminars, covering everything that we do at Soapbox. And that covers everything from the music side. So, I'm handling DJing, but you can also learn, music production. We're doing Logic and Ableton. If you want to learn how to edit, digital media, tech, all of that stuff, but on the tech side of things, games design, coding, virtual reality. We've got all of that. Everything that we would normally do in the center, we are trying to translate into some sort of online course. Now, shout out to everyone that has joined us on the Instagrams. I do appreciate you checking us out, following us, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it on the playback. Either way, your participation is very much appreciated. If you want a more in-depth experience, I strongly recommend you hit up the Soapbox team on the DMs, because then we can link you up with hook you up with a Zoom link, and if you jump on the Zoom, then I can do the whole screen share thing. You can see what's going on with my Serato. You can watch what I'm doing on the decks. It's a lot more in-depth. And in any case, if you can't get involved in any of that when it's happening live, we've just launched a new YouTube channel, and the idea is that we're going to collect and collate and put together just all of the content that we've been creating in terms of the seminars, in terms of the courses, workshops, and put it all on our new YouTube channel. So if you missed a session, or you want to recap, or you want to go back and check something again, or you want to recommend it to someone else, that is a utility that will be there for you. Now, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't been without its teething problems. Just capturing the audio and the video from these sessions has proven to be a little bit problematic. Today is session number 6. As I said, it's the last one in a series of 6 sessions, or at least it was supposed to be. Along the way, we lost a couple. We lost number 4. Well, the Instagram crashed on both accounts, and Zoom messed up with the recording. So I've got some video, but we've got no audio. So although officially this is the last week, next week I'm going to be back to do session number 4 over again, because what I want to do, what I've started to do already, as I mentioned, we've got a new YouTube channel, Soapbox Online. We want to put all the content on that channel, and I want it to be a complete, comprehensive course, with all of the seminars that we've done, 1 through 6. So, if there's one missing, that's no good. So next week, I'm going to be doing a little recap of session number 4. If I remember correctly, it was all about creating and sharing content online and editing and things like that. So we'll be getting into that. Also, the following week, I'm going to do a little bonus episode. I think on that one, I'm going to get more into the editing side of things. It's kind of a little bit more leaning towards production. But Serato have just downloaded... Serato released a plugin for their DJ software, which is essentially an audio editing bit of software. I haven't got it yet because I've always used Logic, but between now and then I'm going to cop it, see what it's about, and we'll get into that, talk about what tools are available in there, how you can use it to your advantage. They're very much aiming it at DJs, whereas look, in essence it's the same as most hang on, let me turn the bass down on my mic a little bit. Yeah, I was wondering why it was sounding like that. Turn the height. All right. So yeah, in essence, it's like most audio editing software. Offers the same basic functionality, but because it's made by Serato is run by DJs, so it's made by DJs for DJs. So when you see me scratching here, what if you've watched the previous sessions, you'll have heard me talk about battle weapons, where it's just a bunch of sequence samples in a particular order to help you scratch. So like I've got a battle weapon loaded up here, and if I just play it, 1, 2, 3, Now, those samples are sequenced in a particular way and to a particular pattern and timing to help you with your scratching. And the new Serato software, it's got built-in build your own battle weapon functionality, which I know a lot of DJs are going to find handy, especially if you're a competitive DJ. If you're going into the battles, like you've got the Red Bull 3-star, you've got the DMCs, ITF, there's stacks of them now, right? So we'll be getting into that. So next week, recap of episode 4, or a do-over rather, and then the following week, little bonus episode. Now, starting after that, we're going to be getting into summer holidays territory, and we're looking at doing another 6-week course, but this time we're going to level it up, really get into a bit more complicated stuff. So whereas the idea with these 6 seminars has been, it's been aimed at beginners or newcomers, novices, entry-level DJs. The next series, so if this is 101, we're going to step it up to 201, you know what I mean? Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit more complicated mixing techniques, the scratch patterns, turntablism, all of that. Basically, what we've been doing over these last 6 weeks, but to the next level. So first, thank you again to anyone that's been following and checking us out. We do appreciate it. Talking about the new YouTube channel, I have a small favor to ask of you guys. As you can imagine, it's a new YouTube channel. It's a fledgling channel. We're still trying to populate it with content, but there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through with YouTube. For example, if you want a custom URL, i.e., we want it to be youtube.com/Soapbox Online. At the moment, it's just gibberish, XYZ, blah, 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 whatever it is. We need at least 100 subscribers to get a custom URL. So please, 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 it doesn't cost you anything. You've all got the YouTube app either on your phone or jump on a desktop. Go to YouTube, search for Soapbox Online. You will know our channel when you see it. It's got a obvious logo. Or if you go onto the Soapbox Instagram, one of the most recent videos is an ad for the new channel, so you can check out what you're looking for. But go on YouTube, under channels, search for Soapbox Online, and please, 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 you'll be doing us a massive favor if you just subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out. And, if you want to go one step further, watch a couple of videos, throw some likes in there, hit that notification bell. I see how they do on YouTube. Every other video, hit that notification bell, like, subscribe, all of that. There's a reason for that. YouTube has the algorithm. We've spoken about the algorithm before. And if you want to be seen, if you want your content out there, you got to do what is required from YouTube to really stand a chance. We're going to do our best to upload content weekly, at least 1 or 2 videos a week, if not more. The amount of content we've been generating lends itself towards more, but at the moment it's just me on my jacks managing that channel. So we'll see what we can do about more and more content. But once again, Soapbox Online, you would be doing us a huge subscription. Hit us up with a sub. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out. And man, 100 subs, we get that custom URL. So there are some videos on there. There's a couple of the first seminars from myself. The other content is going to follow. I've been holding off because, as I said, we're missing video number 4. So once I've redone 1, 2, and 3 are up, I'm going to redo 4 next week. That'll be up next week. And then I'll throw up 5. Then I'll throw up this one. The rest will follow. Now, a big part of what we're doing here is under the assumption that you're either, like I say, a beginner, entry level, may not have any equipment at home, or if you have got equipment, not necessarily professional level, or you kind of lack the understanding of how it works. That's where I come in. So firstly, while I've got you all out there, if you're on the Soapbox or UF Instagram, you can holler at me with a question. Hit me up if there's something that you want to know specifically. If you've got a bit of technology that you don't really understand, or just want to gain a deeper understanding of how it works, hit me up, man. I'm here to help. I am your personal DJ consultant. You know what I'm saying? So today, really, all I want to do is kind of recap what we covered on the previous 5 sessions, and have a little mix at the end, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So welcome to my studio, by the way. This is the Fortress of Solitude, as I call it. Shout out to all my Superman fans out there. You know I represent. Yeah. Okay. Now, in session number 1 was a purely introduction to the equipment and a little bit about being a DJ. So I won't go into detail, but I want to try and hit on each of the sessions. So session number 1, firstly, you got to know what kind of DJ you want to be. And by that, what I'm talking about is, a lot of people pick up hobbies, and that's all it is for them. It's just a hobby. It's just a bit of fun, and that's all good. If that's all you want to do, that's fine. We encourage everyone that comes through UF or Soapbox to try new things. More than anything, just to expand your mind, expand your knowledge base. And there's that thing about, you never know, you might actually be pretty good at it, right? And, it doesn't happen for everyone, but there is definitely potential to make a living out of this. I'm so grateful that I'm in a position where I have been able to make a living out of being a DJ, and that's not all party rocking. Like, a lot of that is doing this kind of stuff, working with the youth, passing on my skills, and also, you don't always get to do the bookings you want to do. You're not always going to be, you're not always going to be the headline DJ. Like, as you're coming up, you're going to have to do warm-up sets and things like that. So when I say what kind of DJ you want to be, there's that side of it. Do I want to be a professional DJ, or is this just a hobby? But then it's not just enough to say I want to be a professional DJ, because there are levels to that as well. Firstly, there's like your radio DJ. More often than not, depending on what station you listen to, like if you take like a Radio 1, 1 Extra, Kiss FM, any one of those stations, they all follow a very similar format. Actually, the BBC is a different beast, but most commercial stations like your Kiss FM, your Capital, whatever, Magic Heart, they're all owned by the same company, and they all have a particular style to the way they present their shows, the kind of DJs that they have hosting their shows. And in most cases, the DJs, they're not really like DJs like this, is like, they're not spinning. They're more a host and more a celebrity. One of the most important shows on radio are the breakfast show and the drive time show. Because that's when they get the most listeners, people getting up, going to work, people coming home from work. So they want like that personality, that vibesy, keep people laughing. People tune in to hear the people, not the music necessarily. And that's all good if, there's money to be made. In fact, those guys are some of the best paid DJs in the radio world. So if, I've had run-ins with radio stations in the past where, I was looking to get involved. I'll name them. It was Kiss FM were looking for a new DJ, and the preliminary meetings went really well. In as much as that, everyone I was chatting to were impressed with like my history as a DJ and my knowledge of music and whatnot. But as I progressed through the interview stages, the higher ups, they didn't care if I could mix. They were looking for like, like the celebrity, they wanted a cartoon character, you know what I mean? And I told them, I said, look, with all due respect, this ain't me. If you've got a slot for a late night specialist, throw it in the mix, niche DJ, that's me all day. But look, that's not to say it can't be you, and the younger you are, the better chance you have of doing that. Like, I'm an old boy now, you know what I'm saying? So that probably didn't have much going in my favor. So there's that side of it. But then that's not to say stations don't have specialist DJs. Growing up, one of my biggest ambitions was as a DJ to have my own radio show. I wanted to be on pirate radio, and it was all about pirate radio. But a DJ that I looked up to hugely was a man called John Peel, who sadly passed away a few years ago. But John Peel, what a legendary dude. This guy, he had his own show on Radio 1 for many years, like going back to the 60s I'm talking about, yeah. And he didn't mix, but he was just a real champion of good music, He always was at the forefront of everything that was going on, right? And one thing I loved about his show is that that's where you would hear the alternative stuff, the stuff that you're not going to hear in like most other shows or DJs playing. He really dug deep to be right on the cutting edge of what's happening. And you never knew what you were going to get when you listened to a John Peel show. My guy was like he was like this old white guy, no disrespect, yeah, but he knew his dub reggae, he knew his hip hop, he knew his drum and bass, but also he knew his heavy metal, his jazz, his country, his folk. Like, I'm telling you, there was no genre that this guy didn't touch. Yeah, when you listen to his show, you never knew what you were going to hear, but you knew whatever you heard was going to be the best of whatever it was. And John Peel is recognized as that guy that if you was an up and coming band and you got John Peel to play your record, game over. You've made it. You know what I mean? That was that stamp of approval. John Peel played my cut. And tragically, after he passed away, they named one of the stages at Glastonbury after him, rightly so. And the slot was taken up by Giles Peterson. Now, Giles Peterson, he does his worldwide show, and it's all about that. It's about global music. And, like Giles is just encyclopedic knowledge of music, you know what I'm saying? And then look, the list goes on. Depending on what kind of genre you're in, all the big stations, they'll have like a late night drum and bass show. Like shout out to Fabio and Groove Rider. Their show on Radio 1 is phenomenal. DJ Hype on Kiss FM. All these like late night niche DJs. Big up to all my hip hop heads out there, So this is what I mean about know what you want to do, right? Now, when it comes to actually DJing out, there's different types of DJs, in as much as there's different styles, there's different genres. The genre of music that you play will dictate how you play those records. Now, we've been going through tips and tricks about beat matching and cutting and scratching and all of that. But I'll tell you right now, none of that means anything if you don't have a good music collection. And that's 90% of it. Having the good, well, we can argue percentages, but it's a big chunk of it. You have to have a good music collection and a knowledge of that music collection. I'm trying to remember my man's name now. What's his name? Look, there's a DJ. I can't. His name escapes me now. Anyway, look. The point I was going to make is he doesn't even mix. Yeah. World famous DJ. What is his name? It's going to bug me now. I'll remember it later. But as I say, he doesn't even mix the records. He's just got such a good selection. Norman J is the DJ that I was trying to think of. He doesn't even mix. He just plays one record after the other. And because it's such a sick selection, and he knows exactly the right record to play, exactly the right time, he is world renowned. My guy tours the world playing huge gigs, getting paid mad money, But that's not to say don't learn the skills. Another topic that I got onto is having stuff that makes you stand out from the crowd. So being able to do a little bit more complicated mixes, a little bit of turntablism up your sleeve makes all the difference, because this is what's going to make you stand out. Now, look, in this world that we're living in now, the technology is so much more accessible. The costs have come down dramatically. Everyone's a DJ these days, you know what I'm saying? In the same way that almost everyone's a rapper, or people are just involved, So the numbers are against you, so you want to do what you can to stand out. So there's that side of it. Now there's actually having the equipment and understanding how it works. So just a quick thing about the music, going back to the music. What I meant by having and knowing your music is not just knowing that, I've got XYZ album, but actually like taking your time to understand the layout of the track. Like this one has an intro that lasts however long, then there's a breakdown, and then it drops, and then there's another breakdown, and then there's the outro, and it lasts this long, it lasts that long, whatever, right? Because this will help you as a DJ. When you're throwing it down in the mix, you're better prepared with the knowledge of how it all works. Okay, I know that this track's got a long outro, that one's got a long intro, they are going to blend together perfectly. Or it might go the flip. Oh man, this one's barely got anything on it, I'm going to have to do a little trick or something to blend it in. So knowledge of your music is, I can't understate that. It's so important. So there's that. Now, next, know your way around the equipment. Now, what I have here, this is the classic setup, I mean, it's a modern mixer, but I've got me right here a set of Technics 1200s. Technics have been making these turntables since the 70s. And the design really hasn't changed. They're fundamentally the same turntable. I mean, this right here is a Mark V. I've got some Mark IIs over there. They're actually up to the Mark VII. But, they're the best turntables I've ever used in my life. I've got a Vestax turntable over here from the PDX range. They work differently, but in any case, what I'm getting at is that this is the old school setup of vinyl and mixer. Yeah. Now, depending on what kind of mixer you got will vary in terms of how many channels it's got. And what I mean by channels is how many different things you can have connected to the mixer that you can mix together, right? So this is what we call a 2-channel mixer. That's one channel. That's the volume for one. That's the other channel. That's the volume for the other. And this is the crossfader. It goes between the decks. When it's all the way over this side, you can only hear this one. All the way over that side, you can only hear that one. And if they're in the middle, you can hear both. We've been over that. That's the basics, We've got EQ controlled, so you can turn the bass up and down, the mids, the highs. You can adjust the gain, which is the overall volume for each channel. We've got special effects built in, echoes and reverbs and whatnot. But also, shout out to Pioneer, the DJing SM9. They're getting ready to drop a new version of this, but this is one of the best mixers I've ever owned. Underneath my laptop here, under the case, is a Vestax 07 Pro. Prior to that, I love this mixer. This mixer is so nice, man. I've been using this mixer for well over 10 years, and I used to have to plug a separate box into the back of it to connect my Serato, whereas this mixer built by Pioneer, it's custom built to work with Serato. So it's got all the original functionality that you would expect off of an analog mixer that you can just use normal turntables on, or CDJs, whatever you want to use. But one USB cable from that mixer to my laptop, and I am connected to Serato, good to go. And it makes so much difference because it's the ease of connectivity, and also it's got 2 USBs on the back of it, so DJs can set up separately. You don't have to unplug one DJ to plug in the next one, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hannah from Boston. I see you. Yeah, how you doing? And who we got over here? It's hard to read. Christina, what you saying? I see you. Look, once again, shout out to the whole UAF team. Big up to Soapbox. As I mentioned earlier, there's a whole schedule of online courses and learning material that we are putting together. If you want to find out more, hit up the websites. UAF Young Urban Arts Official. Hang on. Young Urban Arts Foundation. UAF Official is the Instagram. And Soapbox Islington over here. So shout out to Islington for their support. Big up to the whole team over at Soapbox, and big up to UAF. Now, where was I? So that's the equipment. Quick rundown. These buttons here, if you're wondering what they do, they are multi-purpose buttons. Now, I've got a selection, but these buttons here allow me to select what these buttons do. So at the moment, I've got it set up as hot cue. What a hot cue is, on your Serato, when you've got the track in there, you can put markers so that you can quickly jump to a particular point in a track. Now, I've got this battle weapon set up here. So all 8 of these buttons I've occupied with sounds that I like to scratch with. So if I run through them... 1, 2, 3... Goddamn! You see what I'm saying? Then there's the roll function and the slicer function. Roll is like, I need a beat to show you the roll function. Hang on. So if I put this on, this is what the roll does. See? As I work my way down the board, the first button is the smallest amount of loop. Then the second one gives you double that. The third one doubles again. But instead, it's not just a loop where it keeps it looped and then releases it. It's like the track is playing underneath it, so that when you release it, it's where the track would have been. See what I mean? Slicer, I don't really use Slicer much, but that's kind of down to me not really exploring that functionality too much. But this one here, Sampler is a great one because every DJ needs one of these. Yeah, everyone needs an air horn in their life, you know what I'm saying? But also what I've done, you can have multiple banks of samples. You can have, I think there's 4 lots of 8. So on my second lot, I've put in drum samples. So I've got like a nice deep 808 kick. Then I've got like a standardy sort of more acoustic hip-hoppy kick. A selection of snares. Well, that's a clap. And then a couple of hi-hats. And what that allows me to do, here, I'm going to have to put the mic down for a second. You see what I'm saying? That comes in really handy, and it's good for showing off as well, you know what I mean? So mad props to Pioneer. They've done a fantastic job with this mixer. So you've got multiple functionality here. It's a standard mixer, it's an analog mixer, but it's also a digital mixer. Connect it to your laptop, fire up Serato. you're only restricted by what music you've got on your laptop. Whereas back in the day, it was how much vinyl you could carry or how many mates you could convince to bring to a gig with you to carry your vinyl, you know? So that's a quick rundown of the equipment. Now, you may notice that I don't have the needle or the stylus, as we call it, on the record. So normally, when you're spinning, you would have to put the record, like, you know, you'd have to put the stylus on the needle. You'd have to put the needle on the record. Now, if it's normal vinyl, of course, yes, that's exactly how you're supposed to do it. You've got to put the needle on the vinyl, because how else are you going to get the sound out? But what I'm using here, because I'm using Serato, this is what we call control vinyl. It's a special bit of vinyl that comes with the software that is designed to send a signal to the laptop, which the laptop interprets so that it knows where it is in space, yeah? But as you can imagine, there's a lot of points of failure. The amount of gigs I've gone to where I've really struggled because of poor setup. There's so many things that can go wrong. There's just in the head shell of your cartridge alone. So if I unscrew that and bring it close to the camera, you can see what I'm talking about. So look, you've got the stylus on the tip of the head shell itself, right? But then you've got the cartridge that plugs into. That cartridge then has cables connecting it to the back end of the head shell. All of those are failure points just within the head shell. But then once you take it to the turntable, there's the arm that it plugs into. The amount of decks I've seen with broken arms. There's the cables that come out of the back of the turntable, the left and right stereo cables, as well as a ground cable. They always go wrong. You know, they break all the time. So I was blown away when I saw this new product, right? So this right here, you see that, right? It's made by a company called Phase. The idea with these is they have gyroscopes in them, and by connecting through radio frequencies to your laptop, the gyroscopes, like in your phone, tell it which way it's orientated, or if it's moving, or which way it's moving. And through radio frequencies, that sends the signal to my laptop, which means it's lossless. So if I, hang on, let me... if I run this beat again, so it's working without me having to put the needle on the record, because that's just sending the signal to the laptop. But also, like, imagine how it is, like, you know, when you've got the needle on the deck, if people are jumping around, someone bumps the deck, the needle goes flying. But with the Phase, nothing. See me banging away on that turntable right there? Nothing. No wobble. And also, it allows you to do cool stuff like this, yeah? Oh, so hang on, let me show you how this works first. On the bottom side of that is some magnets, and there's like a metal sticker that you put on your vinyl. So you put that on the deck, you put that over the top, the magnet holds it in place, right? But also, now I can take it off the deck and do... People go crazy when I do that in gigs. They're like, what kind of black magic is this? You know what I'm saying? It's not magic, science. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, shout out to all my DJs out there who are enjoying Phase. Big up to Phase. You guys have changed the game when it comes to this DJing lark, right? So, let's keep it moving, because time is always against us. We're just past the halfway mark. So, yeah, like I say, step one was really just an introduction to the equipment, how it works, how to put it all together, how to use it to its maximum functionality. Quick thing, I don't know if you can see it on the Instagram, but on the side of the turntable, we have this slider, which we call the pitch adjust. What that allows you to do is speed up or slow down the rotation of the turntable, which in effect changes the speed of the record. So if I play that again, I can slow it down. Or I can speed it up. You can't see it, you can't see it. Alright, hang on. Hang on, let me adjust this UF on as well. There we go, that's better. Okay, so this right here, yeah? This slider slows it down, or it speeds it up. Now, where that is a really useful tool is essentially for mixing, because when you're mixing two tracks together, you're gauging the track's BPM. What BPM stands for is beats per minute. That is essentially how fast the song is. Back in the day, you had to kind of just do it by ear. You didn't actually have to count the beats, but you had to be able to tell if a track was slower or faster than the one that you're trying to mix it with. So just like like hip hop is around that 90 beats per minute. Around that sort of tempo, whereas house, a bit faster, we're in that 120, 130, you know what I mean? And then drum and bass is way up there in the 170s up to 180s, So if you want to mix two tracks together, you've got to be aware of the BPMs, or at least just be able to differentiate the speed of a track, A good trick, I'll get into how Serato can help you do it, but the way I used to do it back in the day when I was just using vinyl is I would literally sing songs over other songs and see if it felt right, or rap a track. So I would put on a track and then I'd think, okay, what track do I want to mix with it? Oh, this one. And then I would, in my head or out loud, sort of sing it along to the track that I want to mix it with. And you can kind of tell, am I having to slow it down to make it fit? Am I having to speed it up to make it fit? And if you find that that's the case, then it's probably not going to mix. But if you find that, oh, you know what, actually, yeah, that fits, you're already in the right, area to get those two tunes mixed together. And then it might just be a case of fine tuning it, just slowing it down a touch or speeding it up a touch to make sure it hits the track that you're trying to mix it with. Now, Serato, as well as Tractor and so many other DJ softwares out there at the moment, they offer you a lot of tools to help you in this process. Not least of all is the fact that you've got a BPM analysis tool within the software. So I'll show you quickly how to analyze a track in a minute, but when you throw a track into Serato, it analyzes it and it picks up a lot of key information about the track. First, what kind of file is it? Is it a WAV or an MP3? It will tell you the bit rate, which is a good indicator to the quality of the file. I strongly encourage you to use good quality files. If you're using MP3s, you want really 256 is the bare minimum, which is like iTunes standard. If you can get a 320, get a 320. Better yet, if you can use WAVs, even better. Right now, I know WAVs take up more hard drive space, so it's a balancing act, right? But once one of the crucial bits of information that analyzing your tracks in Serato is it gives you the BPM. It analyzes the track and it picks up the BPM. And if you've created a digital crate within Serato, you can sort that crate by various methods, either by song or artist, bitrate, or by BPM. So what it does is you can have it go from slowest to fastest or fastest to slowest. That's real helpful in terms of just putting together a set or just having a quick idea of what tracks are going to mix. Because at a quick glance, you can see, these two tracks, if not necessarily the same BPM, are within range of each other where I can mix them together and they'll still sound good. So remember about BPMs. Now, when you're mixing two tunes together, as I said, you might need to use the pitch adjust to speed up or slow down to match the BPMs. Make sure, make use of the EQs. If I put in two tracks on at the same time, now I'm essentially doubling up on all the frequencies. 2 kicks, 2 snares, 2 hi-hats. And all of that can add up to a lot of noise, right? So you really want to be using the EQs to counteract each other, balance each other out. I'll have a little mix in a minute and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But there's that side of it. So, as I said, in the first session, it was real just introduction. This is a mixer. These are turntables. This knob does that. That knob does that. But then moving on, as I mentioned about the different styles of music will dictate what kind of DJ you are. Now, a lot of electronic dance music, and I'm not talking, I know the term EDM. I'm not talking about like typical pop EDM. I mean it as a blanket term. Just dance music in general is made by DJs, or at least with a DJ in mind, and what that means is that, as I said earlier, like you might find that like most house music, drum and bass, garage, they all have the DJ in mind in the way that the track is produced, in that they have a long intro which will gradually build up, and there'll be a breakdown, and then the main body of the track drops, and then there's another breakdown, and then there's an outro section. And that's not by accident. That is because they intend for those records to be mixed one after the other into each other. But depending on the kind of music you're playing, that's not always the case. You know, hip hop, a lot of hip hop follows the same kind of structure or pattern. There might be like an 8-bar intro, then there's a 16-bar chorus, 16-bar verse, and then there's the chorus, 16 chorus, 16 chorus, 8-bar out, like that kind of structure. And for the most part, a lot of them follow that structure. But if they don't, you need to. This is what I was talking about, knowing your music, so that you can come up with some other creative way to mix those tracks in to make it sound good. Now, when it comes to mixing, there's two types of mixing, right? There is the super slick, where you don't even notice it's happened until it's too late, right? Where one tune is gone and the next one has come in, built up, dropped, and only when it dropped that you heard the mix, you were like, oh, right, this tune, you know? And that's often the methodology applied to like say house, drum and bass. Look, if you don't know who LTJ Bookham is, look up LTJ Bookham. Go and listen to one of his sets. His legendary progression sessions are a masterclass in seamless, I didn't spot the mix sets. You know, unless you know the tracks, unless you really know them, it's super hard to spot how, where, and when he did the mix. You know, so shout out to LTJ Bookham. But then, like us hip hop heads, all this turntablism and scratching and all of that, that's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's that kind of show-offy, we want you to see what we're doing. Like, look at what we're doing with the decks. And they're both equally important. I reckon to be a good DJ, you should be able to mix as well as have some sort of other trick up your bag, trick up your sleeve. Like, I'm not saying you have to be the world's greatest turntablist, but have a couple of tricks in your bag, you know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, essentially what you're doing is a job. You know, if you've been hired to play at a venue or to rock a spot, the management want to know that you're going to do a good job and that you're going to keep people dancing. If they're dancing, they're enjoying themselves, they're drinking, they're spending money. That's regular work. That's money in their hand, that's money in your hand, you know what I'm saying? And, look, this is advice about any job, yeah? Do a good job, be reliable, the work will come to you. And that's exactly the same applies to when it comes to being a good DJ. Do a good job and be reliable. Now, what I mean by that, be on time, obviously, you know what I'm saying? Be prepared, make sure you've got all your equipment, but do a good job, right? Don't let your ego get the better of you in terms of, oh, well, I'm a DJ, I'm the DJ, I've been booked to do this job and I'm going to play what I want. And if they don't like it, so what? You can't have that attitude. You won't last long as a DJ. You know, what you really need to be prepared for is that you might have to play some music that you don't really like. Now, I'm not saying do that. I try not... To be honest, I've got a bit of a policy about not playing music that I don't like. If I don't like it, I don't want to play it. But that doesn't mean that I won't explore other genres. You know, yeah, I've rocked birthday parties, I've DJ'd weddings, you know, which means playing some commercial stuff. It means playing some pop music. It means digging in the crates for some older stuff. You know, in fact, those are the hardest gigs. Yeah, like if I go to the shout, like if you big up to anyone that knows Chip Shop in Brixton. That was one of my local residencies before the pandemic hit and the lockdown happened. If you come to Chip Shop and I'm spinning, you pretty much know what you're going to get. There's going to be hip hop, there's going to be R&B, you know, there's going to be scratching, there's going to be a vibe in there, and I know that's going to be the crowd, and that's kind of what they're expecting. They're all of a similar taste and into the same sort of music and the same sort of vibes, yeah, but. Yo, you go to you DJ a wedding, yeah, that's a challenge, yeah, because now, you know, you got the bride and groom. They've got their wish list of music that they want to hear. You've got all the young'uns that have come to the wedding, and they all want to hear some modern stuff. But then you've got the elder generation, you know, and they're like, play something classic, play something old, like play something. So you really, I promise you, wedding DJs, that's no joke. That's no game, yeah. You know what I mean? Good money to be made out of DJing at weddings as well, man. So, yeah, like I'm Indian. If you've ever been to an Indian wedding, you see how they do, man. We go full on. Lights, shows, screens, lasers, smoke machines, all of that, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you've got to be prepared for the taste of the audience that you're playing to. So if you turn up at a gig and you start rocking a set, you don't have so much ego that you don't recognize that they're not feeling it, right? If you notice that the crowd are wavering or they're just not into it, or worse yet, people are leaving, you need to fix up, change that. Don't be afraid to change it up. Try new stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's how you're gonna last. Yeah. If you try and stay in that lane, like and dig your heels in saying I ain't changing nothing, this is my set. Well, then you ain't gonna get very far. But if you put in the work, you gain their trust. You get regular gigs, you start playing out, boom, before you know it, now you got a reputation as a party rocker, as a sick DJ, and work will come to you. And, you do it right, and then you'll be in that position where you are the headline DJ, where you are getting paid the money, where you can play what you want to play, because it's a different thing. Like, if you're an artist who's a DJ, that's the next level. A good comparison I always make is, say, Andy C. Andy C is the guy behind Ram Records, another drum and bass producer, DJ. Andy C's a don, man. He's been putting in work for years. One of the sickest DJs I've ever seen play. He uses 3 turntables, he throws down, but he had to earn that, right? Like about a year ago, last year was the 25th anniversary of his record label, Ram Records, and he did like an 8-hour set at Wembley Arena, £150 a ticket, and it sold out, right? But he had to earn that. Like I say, 25 years of Ram Records, and he was a DJ before that. So all them years of work put him in that position where he's the number one guy in his field, and he can charge that much for a ticket, and people come in know exactly what they're going to get because he's Andy C. Yeah, he's going to throw down, he's going to kill it with a sick drum and bass set. But I want you guys to reach that position. I want you guys to be able to attain that kind of success. But there is a path ahead, like between you and that destination. You know what I'm saying? You got to walk that path. Don't give up. Don't throw it in, don't give up too soon. But be aware of where you're playing, who you're playing to, what you're playing. It makes a big difference. Now, how are we doing for time? Okay, we've got about 15 minutes before we get out of here. So once again, shout out to everyone that's locked on. We're live on the Soapbox Instagram. Big up Young Urban Arts Official. Shout out to all the team in the background. Now, when it comes to DJing, I do this because I love it. And I think, like anything, you really got to. I've always been a fan of music, and the idea of being able to manipulate and change and, twist and turn music to my own liking has always appealed to me. And, I've put in years to get to the level where I'm at now. But whatever kind of music you play, whatever genre you're into, the fundamentals of how all of this works translates. As I said, I'm using turntables here. Some of you may, in fact, most of you will probably be using either CDJs or a controller. One thing to remember about both of those bits of equipment is that they're essentially designed to mimic what a vinyl turntable does. Now, I've got a CDJ over here. It's one of the older models. I'm going to unplug it a second just so I can bring it over to the camera. But, hang on. Oh, it's heavier than I thought it was. That's a Pioneer CDJ 800. I think the first one was called the 250. Then there was a 500. Then there was the 800. Then there was the 1000s. They're up to like the 2000 Mark IIs now, you know what I mean? Now, depending on what model you've got, they have different functionality and different extra tools built into them. But first things first, you'll recognize that there is a platter on the top. That is designed to mimic what this turntable does. So if I actually press play, that spins, yeah? This one doesn't have a physically spinning platter. You can get CDJs that do, but when it powers up, there's like a digital readout on the front that will that rotates, and that mimics what's going on with the turntable. And like with the turntable, if I catch it, it stops until you let it go. Same thing on the CDJs. And also, what I was talking about, the pitch adjust to speed it up and slow it down, you've got that on the CDJ as well, right there, look. Now, the good thing about the CDJ is that you definitely get more range on how fast and slow you can make it. The turntable is designed to only go between plus and minus 8%. You can flip the speeds between 33 and 45 RPMs, which gives you a little bit of extra room to speed it up. But the CDJs, you can set the range of what your plus minus is. So I think the options are plus or minus 8, 10, 16, 50 or 100 or something like that. You know, there's a few options on there. In fact, hang on here, I've got it here. It says it on there. Yeah, plus or minus 10, So on my one, because it's an older model, I can go plus or minus 10 or plus or minus 100. No increments in between. But the newer ones, there are increments. Also on the newer Pioneer CDJs, they have a USB socket on them, which means, look, when I go to DJ at a gig, I'm taking my laptop, I'm taking my Serato stuff, the phase, you know, even though I don't have to take crates and crates of records, I've still got to take a fair bit of equipment with me. And, you know, if you're just using USB, that's literally all you have to take with you to a gig. You can prepare your set on a USB stick, plug it into one of the CDJs. The way the CDJs are designed is that you can network them together. So if you plug a USB into one, both CDJs can see the music on both laptops, and boom, you're off. Now, you know, like I say, Serato offers a lot of extra functionality in terms of adding cue points and loops and things like that. The newer versions of the CDJs have a lot of those functions built into them as well. But also, Pioneer have made their own DJ software like Serato or Tractor, but theirs is called Recordbox. I think they spell record with a K. But it gives you the same options. It allows you to prepare your music on a laptop, analyze it, get the BPM information, put your tags and your cue points, all of that on there, throw it on your USB stick, and boom, all you got to do is turn up at the gig, throw your USB in, you're off and running. You know, when it comes to like international DJing, that's a game changer. Like, people used to have to travel the world with crates and crates of records. Hang on, let me show you. Oh, hang on. Oh, I was going to show you my record box there, but the lid's not attached properly. So, but look, in one box you can probably fit like 150, 200 records. Yeah, on a USB stick. Are you mad? Like, you can get like 2 terabyte USB sticks now, 4 terabyte. I've seen, you know, and a USB 4 terabytes. That's 4,000 gigs. You know, so that opens up your options a lot. But going back to the basics, how you mix still is the same. You got to understand your cue points. You got to understand how tracks overlap each other. Know your timing. Like, if you have a musical understanding, then you'll know, you know, the difference between when things are in and out of key. When you're trying to mix songs together, you want them to be as clean as they can. You know, so bear that in mind. So that's vinyl versus CDJs. Now, if you're using a controller, what all a controller is they've taken all this technology and they've rammed it into one piece of kit. So it's essentially the same gubbins of a CDJ, but rather than it being a separate unit, it's one big rectangular unit with the same jog wheel on either side and all the functionality of the mixer built into it. So there'll be 2 channel faders for the volume, there'll be a crossfader. You might find that there are these pads underneath each jog wheel. Now, honestly, there are some amazing controllers out there and at very reasonable price ranges. This setup that I've got here, you're looking at thousands of pounds worth of equipment, not even including the laptop. You know, this Pioneer mixer, when it was launched, was 1,800 quid. I think you can get them for like 1,400 now, and I think they're going to drop down a little bit more because the new model is coming. Yeah. Technics Turntables, you'll be lucky if you find an old school one for like £300 a deck. The new Mark 7s are £800 a deck. The CDJs, if you want the latest Pioneer Nexus 2000s, that's over £1,000 for a deck, for one deck, you know. So, you know, the cost quickly adds up. So that was always a prohibiting factor for me as a DJ when I was coming up, when I was younger. Like, do I really want to spend this money on the equipment? And I'll tell you what, like, it was a good way of keeping whack DJs out of the game because they couldn't afford the equipment. They didn't jump in, they didn't get involved. But now, you know, the equipment is so much more accessible. Pioneer do a fantastic controller for 250 quid. So if you've already got a laptop, for 250 quid, you're in the game, yeah? Pretty much everything that I've been doing on here, you can do on that controller. It's got cue points, it's got samplers, it's got you know, Serato functionality, depending on what software you're using, whether it's, you know, Serato or Tractor. Pioneer have just launched a brand new one which does both Serato and USB record box, which that's a game changer. They should have done that a long time ago, but I think there was like legal issues about combining the 2 softwares on one bit of kit. But whatever you're using, whether it's CDJs or turntables or controllers, the fundamentals, the essentials about how it all works is the same. You know, it's all about knowing how, where, and when to mix your tunes together, having your library ready, and, you know, rocking a party. Now, we are almost out of time. I've got just over 5 minutes left to go. So I'll just throw it out there quickly. Shout out to everyone who's watching. Big up to Carbon Designs. I see you. Shout out to, who's that? Amelia. Big up to Yaduku. Yeah, everyone out there. If you've got any questions, holler at me. And once again, I just want to remind you about the Soapbox YouTube channel. New Soapbox YouTube channel. It's called Soapbox Online. Please do us a favor, go and subscribe. We need at least 100 subs to get the custom URL. We only launched it last week, and we're starting to populate it with content. More and more content is coming. If there's something that you want to see us doing, or if there's questions that you want answered, feel free to hit me up. You can follow me online. I'm at DJ Shorty 79. Make sure you follow Soapbox at Soapbox Islington. If you're not already, do it. And same with UF. The Young Urban Arts Foundation are killing it in the game when it comes to like high quality youth work. You know what I'm saying? So that's UF official, YUAF official. If you want to find out about any more, about the other courses that we're offering, head to the websites. Full schedules available on both websites, covering everything, whether it's the arts, digital media, tech. We are on the case. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's a madness out there at the moment. The pandemic's got the world just scared, you know, and I know the government are talking about easing lockdown restrictions, but yo, look, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like it's safe yet, you know, and I encourage you that if you are out and about, just take care of yourself. And look, before we go, I don't want to act like I'm living in a cocoon and I'm not aware of what's happening out there right now in terms of the Black Lives Matter and, you know, George Floyd, man, R.I.P. It's crazy what happened to him. And I feel like we're in the midst of a second revolution, you know, like this is on the level of what happened with the civil rights movement in the 60s. Now more than ever, we need unity. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever color you are, it doesn't matter, right? You can be any color and still be anti-racist, yeah? We're not anti-white. We're not anti-brown, we're not anti-black, we're anti-racist. You know what I'm saying? Racism affects people in so many ways and so many different levels. It's something that I don't even want to really get into. I mean, I've experienced it myself as a brown man, but what black people have had to endure for so long is ridiculous. And we see it, we know it, we're aware of what's going on. Anyone who claims differently is just either a fool or a liar, right? And the power lies within us to make the change in society that we want to see. You know what I'm saying? So stay safe out there. If you're joining the protests, if you're joining the marches, please, I implore you, don't let the outside agitators get you involved in like rioting or looting. You know what I mean? You know, and also with the pandemic, just stay safe, social distancing, masks, gloves. If you've got to be out, take care of yourself, man. You know what I mean? Because look, I want to see us all come out the other side of this. So that's all I'm going to say for that. But before I bounce, damn, we're running out of time. Like we've literally only got like 3 minutes left to go. So I'm going to throw it down on the decks for the last couple of minutes. Once again, big up to everyone that's been getting involved, joining in. Next week, as I said, is going to be a rerun of session number 4 because we lost the video and the audio. The following week is going to be a bonus episode as we explore Serato a little bit more. And then if you're interested in leveling it up in the more complicated stuff, that's going to be the second round of seminars. So one love to all of you guys that have been getting involved and joining me for the sessions. This is week 6. It's flown by. But yeah, let's have a little scratch. So find a beat, find a sample, and off we go. Yeah. Now, oh, by the way, but as I said, if any of you got any specific questions, feel free to hit me up, and yeah, I'll do my best to answer them for you. So there we go. Here's a beat. Is this the one I wanted? I don't know. My man Crisp Rhythm on the beat. I've been DJ Shorty. This has been Soapbox Live. No, it hasn't. It's been Soapbox Online and UF Official on the Instagrams. Big up to all you guys. Stay safe out there. And yeah, man, keep them tables spinning.
Yeah. making me itch.